The St. Louis Cardinals have signed Matt Carpenter to a one-year deal with the team. What does this mean? Weird comments about leadership. We'll get into that. And Tommy Edman officially signed a 2-year deal, avoiding arbitration. And are there some Cardinals who still could be traded before opening day? All of that and much, much more on this episode of Long Live Baseball, covering the St. Louis Cardinals. Okay, let's get right into it. On January 19th, all right, so it's been a few days. I've needed a few days to process this signing. And a fan, a casual fan, maybe you all in the audience might look at the Matt Carpenter signing for the St. Louis Cardinals and go, "Oh, that's kind of nice." Here's the problem with Matt Carpenter. Matt Carpenter has not been good for a long, long time outside of just an insane stretch that he went on with the Yankees in 2022. And if you look at his counting stats from 2022, he hit 305. You go, oh my gosh. On base percentage of over 400, 412 on base percentage, OPS over one total, OPS plus off the charts, right? So you look at those stats and you go, oh well, 2022 Matt Carpenter is really really good, and maybe just maybe the 38-year-old version of Matt Carpenter can be that. Maybe he can be rejuvenated in St. Louis. The problem is that was a very short sample size of 128 at bats, and Matt Carpenter was a left-handed bat in Yankee Stadium. And there's much more evidence that Matt Carpenter is not very good anymore. Starting back in 2020, Cardinals fans know the struggles that Matt Carpenter had. He only had 169 plate appearances, 186 batting average. 2021, 249 plate appearances, 169 batting average. And last year with the San Diego Padres, 176 batting average, 237 plate appearances, 188 at bats. It was made very known by John Mozeliak that Matt Carpenter is not going to be playing a lot. That one of the primary reasons for this signing was leadership. This one is a head scratcher. It really feels to me that the Cardinals once again are leaning on the nostalgia of their team and the history of their franchise, which is great. But it's one of the things that drives me the most insane about the St. Louis Cardinals is that they look backwards instead of looking forwards many times. They look backwards. Oh, let's bring in Matt Carpenter. Let's remind the fans of how great he once was. Maybe he's still got some magic left. And he's a great clubhouse guy. Here are some quotes from John Mozeliak. I'm referencing an article written by John Denton on January 19th, entitled "Cards Reunite with Carpenter on a One-Year Deal." Mozeliak said, "I feel like last year Goldschmidt and Arenado were left having to pick up a lion's share of the leadership, and being able to spread that around more is important. As we were looking at who this person could be, Carp understands exactly the Cardinal way of doing things, and he understands the group of players that we have because he's not that far removed. Looking at our veteran presence now, I think he'll be a great addition from a leadership standpoint." Those comments right there about leadership. I mean, they on the pitching side, think of all the veterans they brought in: Sonny Gray, Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn. They already have Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. Brendan Donovan is supposed to be this next great leader of the next wave of Cardinals. And now they bring in Matt Carpenter. I mean, how many leaders do you need in the clubhouse? How effective is Matt Carpenter going to be as a leader? And I swear I'm not trying to be mean here, but how effective is he going to be as a leader if he's hitting 143 and he's only had 7 at bats in the last couple weeks coming off the bench? What is the point of this? Matt Carpenter can play what? Second base, he can play first base, he can maybe play third base, he can DH, and that's about it. You're already stocked at second base. Like Brendan Donovan, Nolan Gorman, Tommy Edman can all play second base. Nolan Gorman can play third. Alec Burleson can play first. To me, it doesn't make much sense signing Matt Carpenter. There's far much more evidence that he's not a very good player anymore. And I'm sorry, like, We all remember how great Matt Carpenter was with the Cardinals, but we also need to recognize that over the past 4 seasons, outside of that one stretch with the Yankees, he has struggled to reach a 200 batting average. And I know there's some metrics that Mozeliak pointed out, like the bat swing, the exit velocity, all of those things. That's nice. But like I said, we're going to need to see it on the field. And this really feels like a roster spot that should have been occupied by somebody with a little bit more upside than Matt Carpenter. And to talk about the leadership thing, it's weird now. It's just weird. You're telling me Paul Goldschmidt is not a good enough leader in that clubhouse? Nolan Arenado, is he not a leader? What's going on with him? There's a lot of weird vibes coming out of this. This must have been one of the worst clubhouses in Major League Baseball if we got to bring all these leaders in here. I mean, think about Lance Lynn is a well-known, no-nonsense guy who is, I think, great for the Cardinals clubhouse, despite what you think of him as a pitcher. Kyle Gibson, by all accounts, great clubhouse guy. Sonny Gray, same story. The pitching, is completely different this year. But if you're telling me that Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, and Brendan Donovan, there's been a lot of news and noise about how great of a leader Brendan Donovan is, why do you need Matt Carpenter outside of the nostalgia? To me, that's what this is. And I haven't heard anybody say this, but this is making those Cardinal fans who love coming to the ballpark, who love Matt Carpenter, they can dust off their Matt Carpenter jersey, put it on one more time, and let's go give Matt Carpenter a standing ovation for his first at bat. Let's give him a big send off this year. It's the Cardinals playing that hand that they always play: nostalgia, nostalgia, nostalgia. And if you're saying, well, Seth, they haven't really done that much with nostalgia. They brought back Albert Pujols, and that worked really well. They probably, and this is probably going to anger some people, they brought back Yachty, and Yachty did not have the best of seasons in his last season as a St. Louis Cardinal. Adam Wainwright brought him back to just an obscene contract in hindsight, $17.5 million, to be one of the worst pitchers in Cardinals history for a single season, right? As much as we love seeing Adam Wainwright get his 200th win, that was a big reason. I mean, that $17.5 million could have been much better spent on somebody else who could have helped your ball club. That's a significant amount of the payroll that we're spending on nostalgia, and they're not spending much on Matt Carpenter at all. I don't know how it makes sense. You mean help me understand how it makes sense to bring Matt Carpenter in here, 38 years old. We have Thomas Sagasi, who can play second base. We have Victor Scott in the minor leagues, who would be a much better, more versatile player for the Cardinals, who could play every outfield position. And who knows, Victor Scott still might get brought up if they do decide to trade Dylan Carlson or Burleson or somebody like that. But this doesn't make a ton of sense to me, because when are you going to pinch hit Matt Carpenter? Like, the only time you're going to hopefully pinch hit Matt Carpenter is if you've already used Alec Burleson, or Alec Burleson's already playing. Because if they decide to use Matt Carpenter off the bench ahead of Alec Burleson, I might lose my mind. If that's, then we've gone completely crazy with this nostalgia. Like, oh, remember Matt Carpenter back in 2017? The problem is it best for the Cardinals? And the answer is no. The answer is no. That roster spot would be better served on a younger player with some more upside. Because if the Cardinals don't have good leadership with Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, two superstars who have a ton of credibility, one of those players is not that far removed from an MVP season. And if Nolan Arenado, who in my mind is still one of the best third basemen in all of baseball, if those guys aren't good leaders, which I believe they are, by the way, and you're bringing in Matt Carpenter for leadership, what? Like, how does that make any sense? To me, it has to be, the only explanation that that makes sense is this is a signing that it doesn't cost you anything. Some of the fans are going to go, "Oh, look, they brought back Matt Carpenter. Yes, hooray." But it's again the Cardinals leaning on the past instead of looking to the future, instead of projecting forward. What and honestly, it's not as big of a deal as I'm making it out to be because Matt Carpenter is not going to play that much. Let's be honest. And there, oh, by the way, there's a thing called the injured list where we've seen Adam Wainwright go in the past when he's not pitching very well, and it will probably be a place where Matt Carpenter ends up when he's not hitting very well because he probably won't because there's a lot more evidence of him being very, very bad over the last 4 to 5 seasons, dating back all the way back to, I mean, in 2019, we started to see it tail off when he hit 226. To me, this is a head scratcher. And again, will it be nice to see Matt Carpenter pinch hit every once in a while? Sure. But is it the wisest move for the Cardinals to make? No, because that roster spot should definitely be used or taken up by somebody with much, much more upside than Matt Carpenter. Sorry, Cardinals fans, but I'm not sorry. I believe that's the truth. And speaking of some good news, Matt Carpenter, head scratching move, but Tommy Edman, this is not a head scratching move to me. Tommy Edman, the Cardinals avoid arbitration ultimately and do the right thing and sign Tommy Edman to a 2-year deal that's projected to be about $16.5 million. So Tommy Edman is going to be a Cardinal for the next 2 years unless he's traded. And Edman, this is an important signing because, and not that the Cardinals were going to lose him because worst case scenario, they would have gone to arbitration. But Edman's going to be is an important piece of this team because he plays really, really good defense at multiple positions. And he's slated to be the starting center fielder in 2024. Ollie Marmol has said this. John Mozeliak has said it basically. Cardinals, it's good news. The Cardinals were able to reach a contract agreement before that January 11th deadline. Mozeliak said Tommy's strong fundamental play, athleticism, and versatility remain a valuable asset that we view as an important part of our team identity. And it's true. I mean, Tommy Edman, he can play second, short. He could probably play third base. He could play, if he can play center field, he can play all of the outfield positions. And he's a versatile part of this team. That he's a versatile chess piece that you can kind of move wherever you need him to go. Now, is his bat going to ever be an elite bat? Probably not. It's going to be average to below average, but the defense that he gives you is going to make up for that in the long run over the course of 162 games. And, he's not a guy that you need to slate in every day. I mean, you could throw Burleson out there or Carlson every once in a while, depending on the matchup, depending on how these players are hitting. And Tommy Edman is somebody, like, just looking at his stats over the last couple seasons, I mean, he's been pretty consistent. You kind of know what you're going to get from Tommy Edman. I mean, ever since he became a full-time member of the St. Louis Cardinals in 2021, he hit 262, 11 home runs, 56 RBIs, over 300 on base percentage, OPS under 700, but his OPS has always been pretty low, like around that 700 mark. 2022, he hit 265, 13 home runs, 57 RBIs. 2023, 248, 13 home runs, 47 RBIs. So and he gives you roughly, like, on average about 550 plate appearances or at bats rather every year, actually closer to like 600 plate appearances every year, judging by the last 3 seasons. So you kind of know what you're going to get from him. He's as consistent a player as you're going to find. He gives you some speed. He gives you some versatility, especially where you can play him. And he's going to give you 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe 15 home runs, maybe 50 or 60 RBIs. He's going to hit like 260, 250, and he's going to be okay. Like, he's going to hover around average to slightly below average as a hitter, but that's fine if he's giving you really, really good defense in the field and he can play multiple positions. And ultimately, let's not rule out the fact that Tommy Edman still could be a trade chip for the St. Louis Cardinals, especially if their season doesn't go the way that they plan for it to go. I mean, just because he's under a 2-year contract, there's going to be a lot of teams out there that are going to view Tommy Edman's versatility as a very, very positive thing, and they're going to view him as a really good fit for their club, especially potentially as a off the bench guy who can play multiple positions. I think he's a super valuable piece that a lot of teams are going to covet. So to rule him out as a potential trade option, I think is a mistake. But for now, he's the starting center fielder for the St. Louis Cardinals. And also, like, if the Cardinals do, and I won't stray away from the main point too much here, but if the Cardinals do end up moving Tommy Edman or moving Dylan Carlson, watch out for Victor Scott. I mean, Victor Scott ascended very quickly, very, very quickly last season. His numbers at Double-A were very encouraging. We'll see what he can do at Triple-A, assuming he starts there. I would assume that's where he is to start the season. He's going to be probably at spring training. He's probably going to get an invite there. I don't know why he wouldn't. Victor Scott, just again, we made a video about this on the YouTube channel. Check it out. Victor Scott, we broke him down. Very exciting prospect, and very well could be on his way to having an impact if the Cardinals do decide to move on from Dylan Carlson or Tommy Edman. If the season isn't going the way the Cardinals want to, or that there's a need in the starting pitching department, which could pop up if, with all these older veteran arms that the Cardinals have. I mean, an injury is bound to happen. Steven Matz has already been dealing with injuries, so you never know what could happen. The point is, we still can't rule out Tommy Edman as a trade chip potentially, or a player that could be traded away just because he signed this 2-year deal. It doesn't change anything. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video. My name is Seth Dewald. Stay tuned for more episodes of Long Live Baseball covering the St. Louis Cardinals. And until next time, let's go Cardinals. We're getting closer and closer to opening day, closer and closer to pitchers and catchers reporting. I'm getting excited about this season, even though the Cardinals seemingly have team AARP. I'm joking. With the how many veterans they have. They have so many leaders now with Matt Carpenter. I mean, if leadership alone could get you to the World Series, the Cardinals would be ranked #1, baby. So here we go. Let's go Cardinals, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.